So most philosophers, or scholastics and mutakallimin as well, do believe that it is self-evident. That's why, as I mentioned last time in Shir al-Aqaid of Taftazani, for example, he mentions, I think, that if somebody denies that the world exists, then what you need to do is to give him a punch or so he can wake up. He doesn't need an argument. But others have tried to give an evidence of this self-evident truth that the world exists by saying that, for example, let me see if I can. So, for example, this I was just able to pull up a quote from or a reading from Samuel Clarke, who was this is a reading from one of the introduction of philosophy book I used to use. He is 1675, 1729, English theologian and philosopher, a close friend of Newton. And this reading I have is on a modern version of cosmological argument. Is from his book, A Demonstration of the Being and Attributes of God. I don't think I have a PDF or online version of this. I'll just check in a minute. If I have, I'll just show you as well. So this is from Clarke, and what he says here is, first, then, is absolutely and undeniably certain that something has existed from all eternity. I don't know why he talks about eternity, because if it has existed from eternity, you don't need any cause of it, because you can never have a point where it actually started. And that's actually an argument against the cosmological argument. But anyway, this is so evident, that's the point, so evident and undeniable a proposition that no atheist in any age has ever presumed to assert on the contrary. Well, but we mentioned Descartes, even though Descartes is not an atheist, for example, and therefore there is little need of being particular in the proof of it. But he still gives some proof of sort. For since, and that's his sort of proof, or maybe his reason for not having a proof or no need for proof. Something how is for okay. So for since something now is, that is this proposition, it is evidence. So the fact that now something exists right now, it is evident that something has always was, or otherwise always was. So that's his argument for no need of proof, that something exists and it is evident. It means there was something before this point as well. Otherwise, the thing now that now are must have been produced out of nothing. Absolutely and without cause, which is a plain contradiction in terms. So what he's saying is, let's unpack this and then we'll go back to Iqbal. So what Clarke is saying is, it is certain that something has existed from all eternity. And I just pointed out that I'm not sure why he brought in eternity, because that seems to actually go against his argument. This is so evident and undeniable a proposition that no atheist in any age has ever presumed to assert the contrary, which is not true. Even some theists have. And therefore there is little a need of being particular in the proof of it. But he still gives some sort of proof for, because that's the reason, yeah. Since something is now, so since we can say that there's something exists, for example, I exist, and the pen I'm writing with exists in this. Okay. So for since something now is, it is evident that something always was. From now, from present, we self-evidently prove that there was a past. So there's no infinite present, for example. This moment is not infinite, so it is going to pass. I mean, Zeno might not agree, for example. For since something now is, it is evident that something always was. Okay, otherwise the things now are must have been arisen out of nothing. So if this now wasn't was, that would imply that this now has come out of nothing. So for example, it's called occasionalism. And sometimes people attribute it to Asharis as well. And occasionalism is things are popping up every moment. So he's trying to deny something like that. Why? It is evident something, otherwise the things that now are must have arisen out of nothing, absolutely and without cause. That's not necessary because, for example, many occasionalists were theists, for example. So God isn't like, maybe Berkeley, we can call it, was an occasionalist. Some of Descartes' critics were occasionalists, for example. I mean, for the sake of argument anyway. And as I said, people have attributed occasionalism to Asharis, but occasionalism doesn't mean that things are coming out of nothing without a cause. So, which is a flat contradiction in terms. So just assume that things are coming out of nothing. Without a cause. What is a contradiction? I don't understand. What is a contradiction? Because unless, I mean, he is supposing that this is an effect. But if you don't assume that it is an effect, then it might be hard to believe. It might be even wrong, but I don't see any contradiction as such. Contradiction is something logical. It has nothing to do with like existence or physics. Unless you say something which involves contradiction in the way you are talking. So that's a bit of digression in a way, but I thought that was a good digression. So that's what Iqbal was talking about when he